ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of An Adventure in Space and Time, which is the 2013 docudrama looking at the making of Doctor Who between 1963 and 1966. So basically, looking at most of the William Hartnell era and the creation of the show. And it's a great docudrama full of real emotion and fantastic performances. Seriously, if you're not at least beginning to tear up by the end, then something's wrong with you. Okay, so for starters, we see William Hartnell just before he's about to do his final scenes for the 10th planet, and he's not feeling ready for it, and then he reflects on the past few years. And then we see Sidney Newman arriving at the BBC, and then he comes up with an idea for Doctor Who whilst at work. We're then introduced to Verity Lambert, and Jacqueline Hill actually makes an appearance here as well. And Verity is hired by Sidney to produce Doctor Who, and whilst looking for doctors, we are introduced to William Hartnell, who's not very happy at this point in 1962-1963, because he's mainly known for playing army soldiers and generals and crooks, as that's how he's seen by the casting company. However, Verity Lambert sees him as a potential doctor who will be a very different role than to most people that Hartnell played. So, despite not being thrilled about the idea to start with, Hartnell agrees to take on the Doctor role after he's explained it, but it's been all explained by Verity and Waris Hussein, who's directing the first 4 episodes, which are An Unearthly Child, and he would also direct 6 episodes of Marco Polo before leaving for India for a bit. So, yeah, there's all the trouble, and also the pilot episode. He also directed that. And we get to see all the behind-the-scenes trouble of Verity and Waris trying to make Doctor Who and trying to get the pilot episode done. When that seems to be a disaster, Sidney orders them to redo it again, and so that ties in with the rest of An Unearthly Child. And soon the episode is broadcast, but as we all know, John F. Kennedy was assassinated the day before. Therefore, all the news coverage affected the viewership of the show. Not to mention there was also a power cut for most of the country, most of the UK. So ratings were, well, if you were comparing them to Series 11's ratings, the people who would be crying, "Ooh, the ratings are going down for Series 11," would probably have a field day with with An Unearthly Child. Of course, they wouldn't dare touch An Unearthly Child. The other 3 episodes of the story, maybe, but not the first episode. But yeah, but you were thinking Series 11's ratings were going down. Ha! Idiots. Especially considering Series 10's were even lower. So in anything, they're actually going up. Maybe not every single week, but you know what I'm getting at. Anyway, so because of this, Sid and also the new Dalek script that Sidney's reading, which, by the way, there is a fantastic contrast with Sidney reading the script and saying the descriptions and the Dalek lines out loud, and we get to see the preparation for the assassination with the gun and the eye thing being like a Dalek eye. It is so clever, and the exterminating, you get to see the gunfire. And it's around this time that Marco Polo, no, I'm joking, Marco Polo's actor plays a character here. He comes in to tell Sidney Newman to cancel Doctor Who after the 4 episodes they've made, so they can only have those 4 episodes. And then he's to kill it. However, Verity argues strongly for the Daleks script, and therefore the Daleks are put into action, and they are immediately a hit with audiences. The production team even thought they were a bit creepy after Peter Hawkins does a great Dalek voice. No, I'm right the first time. Nicholas Briggs as Peter Hawkins. What perfect casting. He just needs to put a wig on his head and then he's let on a roll. Just so long as he makes it sound like the older Daleks. But they sound even better here. Because then again, it is Nicholas Briggs. And of course, they get 10 million viewers for their final episode. Okay, people who are saying, Series 11's views are going down. Now is your turn to laugh. Although, The Woman Who Fell to Earth did get about 10 million viewers as well. Roughly. That might not have been the overnight one, but it was definitely by the end of the 7 days. That being said, City of Death I think episode 4 of City of Death is the most viewed Doctor Who story of about 16 million, I think. So, that one's always going to be laughing its way to the viewing figures box office. That's just something I made up. After Christmas, and once 1964 gets starting, production continues on the next 2 stories. We get to see a bit more of the character with the interactions. I say the characters, the actors, and the production team. I'll just say characters because in this they're characters, even though they were real people. So we get to see a bit more interaction between them, and we get to see some of the makings of Edge of Destruction, Marco Polo, and Reign of Terror. We get to see some behind the scenes of, and William Hartnell is very much, and the Doctor are very much so popular that children are asking for his autograph, and they even have a whole bunch of school children get to play Doctor Who and the Daleks with him. So much so that the BBC has decided off screen that the Daleks need to come back. Well, obviously everybody was asking for them. There's even a joke about the Daleks taking over the entire world, following the little boys were wondering if they were back, and also seeing a Dalek in a newspaper. So it looks like the BBC had no choice but to bring them back in season 2, but not just once, but twice. At either end of the series. Not quite bookend because they were the second and penultimate stories, but very close to being bookends anyway. And we get to see the start of production of season 2 with Dalek Invasion of Earth's notable Daleks and Westminster Bridge scene. That is so cool. It's so cool they even replicate it for Radio Times covers on Radio Times cover when Dalek was coming along. And then again, they had a wartime artist version for the new Paradigm ones. So cool. And yeah, and according to a mini documentary here, they filmed it on a Sunday morning, both the original production team and this Docu-Drama's production team. Sadly, Carol Ann Ford is leaving, though, so William Hartnell is getting a bit upset, and he's already a bit upset with Warris leaving. However, 1965 comes around, and things carry on until, but that is until we start to see William Hartnell's health beginning to deteriorate. So he seems to have had quite a lot of energy in 63 and 64, and he's been doing well, but halfway through season 2's production and airing, he's starting to become unwell. And to make all matters worse, whilst on production of the Web Planet, Verity Lambert informs William Hartnell she is leaving after having a conversation with his wife. And therefore we have a big celebration party for Verity's leaving, even though she stayed on as producer until Mission to the Unknown. So this party feels like it should be set after at least a chase. At least maybe a little bit later. But this documentary implies it's more set after the Web Planet, which she wasn't finished just yet. She still had a few more stories to do the rest of this season and the first 2 of the next one. Albeit those 2 were originally planned for that season production block, but in reality. So yeah, she leaves. Hartnell's upset. Oh, by the way, cameos appear. I think Jean Marsh and Vicky's actress Maureen O'Brien make cameos in the party scene. There might be a few others, by the way. Eagle eye viewers may be able to spot them. 1965 continues. We don't really see the start of production on season 3. We're more focused on Hartnell and his relationship with the new production team. But I think we do end on filming the massacre. One of the scenes from the massacre where the Doctor's contemplating whether he should go home. And we then turn to 1966. We see photo shoots for Stephen and Dodo. Actually, I think that might have been just before, actually. My mistake. In their Celestial Toymaker get up. And then, late in 1966, we also see Ben and Polly's as well. By the way, I think the actor playing Ben, they cast someone with blonde hair. Ben's was brown. I don't know why they did that. One thing Twice Upon a Time did better, albeit a very small differ, is they cast an actor with as Ben, or provided a wig for him that was actually the same colour and style as Michael Crane's. Same for Annika Wells's. I think they got Annika Wells better here. Not better, but well cast here. I think they did a good job here. But I think with Michael Crane's, they should have given him a brown haired wig. I'm just saying, it's a small nitpick. He's only in it for a few minutes across 2 scenes, but still a nitpick. And I think it's something Twice Upon a Time did slightly better. Even if he was used probably just as much, which isn't much at all. Same for the actress playing Polly, but I think she was done well both sides. I also want to say that I think the actress playing Maureen O'Brien was also a bit too old. I think someone or at least a bit too tall anyway. I think it should have been someone who's a little bit younger or shorter. I think they were the first 3 companions casting. They did well. They were going to be the main focus for quite a bit as well, and also they get their own big finished spin-off as well. Peter Purves, I think they get right. Jackie Hill, I think, not Hill, Lane, Jackie Lane. They have again someone who's a little bit too tall. Age-wise, I think might actually be younger. But no, none of this is complaints, they're just nitpicks. Anyway, Hartnell's health is deteriorating rapidly again, further. We don't really see much more production behind the episodes. It's more focused on Hartnell. Maybe we see the massacres bit, but I'm sure that was before. And we're seeing Hartnell's, as I said, his health's deteriorating, but he still wants to really push on with it, and Sidney Newman knows it can't. And this other guy, Melvin, I think his name is. He's the tech guy who's been helping out everybody across the Minnesota. And Sidney are discussing Hartnell, and they know he can't continue. He's too unwell to continue, and they've got so much great stuff planned for Doctor Who, cough cough, season 4 onwards. But Hartnell is so unwell that he can't continue beyond the Smugglers and the 10th Planet. So Hartnell has to go in to have a conversation about trying to get more time off and less gobbledygook into saying the scripts, and being allowed to improvise a little bit. And then Sidney Newman has to drop the ball afterwards, and that is the real the start of the emotional ending. As Hartnell knows Sidney is right, they can't continue the way he is, and he approves of the choice of replacement, which is of course Patrick Troughton, who I swear also has to wear a wig when he's playing the Doctor, like Hartnell did. I'm glad John Pertwee got to keep his actual hair when he got to play the Doctor. If Troughton's anything to go by, and Paul McGann had to wear a wig as well, probably because he cut all of it off by the time they started filming. But he has his actual hair since 2012 for Big Finish, in 2013 for On Screen. I think all the other Doctors don't have to wear wigs. I might be wrong. Colin Baker, no, I think that was his actual hair. I might be wrong. Sylvester McCoy only had to wear it in the regeneration scene. I think everybody else just wears their natural hair. apart from Matt Smith when he's shaved it all off and had to wear a wig in Time the Doctor. Anyway, so then we get to see William Hartnell's thinking about it and upset. The scene at the start where he's driving past the police box and sitting by it, we come back to that bit as well, and then we see him break down at his home as he doesn't want to go. I think the lines have copied David Tennant's from The End of Time, but some people probably consider this version better. Actually, yeah, I think I would too. And then we come back to where he is whilst ready to do the 10th planet. He's remembering, and we get to see Reese Smith as Patrick Troughton. I think he's okay, but I think the wig's a little off. There's also an awkward shot of him that isn't really from Hartnell's point of view. I think if we had Hartnell looking over and we saw Troughton over there, then we cut to that other angle of Troughton, and then he quickly moved into action, then that's what would have been better. And yeah, but it's cool seeing William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton interacting with each other, and I think Smith does a good performance as Troughton, if briefly. And then Hartnell sets on the TARDIS ready to do the scene, and he answers him, and this is what got me the most. He got to see Matt Smith and realised that the show would continue for at least 50 more, well, almost, at least to the 50th anniversary and possibly beyond. And it was very nice. It is obvious Matt Smith's bits are in front of the green screen, minus the clicking of the buttons, but that might have been someone else's hands in the costumes. But it was still a beautiful moment. It just would have been better if Smith was there properly. I think it was just that they didn't have the time. Plus, if he was also credited. And Matt Smith. Or Matt Smith as the Doctor, or as himself. But it's still a beautiful moment. Any of the Doctors there would have been a beautiful moment. If Hartnell looked up and saw Peter Capaldi, who would have been the next Doctor, if this was made in 2023, then whoever the Doctor in 2023 would be, whether that be Jodie or whether that be her successor or their successor. If it was 2003 when it was originally proposed, it would have been Paul McGann or Christopher Eccleston if they just announced a new series. Maybe not Eccleston, but definitely McGann. So it's super beautiful. It's so lovely. And we get to end on that note of Hartnell knowing the show will continue for a long time, even after he goes. And whilst he's sad about leaving, he's still happy about the show continuing to be a success. And at the end, of course, we get the captions like we get on docudramas and docufilms, where it has pictures of the characters and the actors as the people, and the actors as the people. So, and then bits about the people as underneath. So, example, we get to see Sidney Newman and Brian Cox as Sidney Newman, and information about them underneath. Same for Waris Hussein, Verity Lambert, and of course William Hartnell. And then credits, and the credits are very much a blue version of the original credits, which were supposed to be blue as well, but yeah, it's a version of the original credits in colour, and with a new theme tune. That worked well for this, and it's really good, and just great. So overall, An Adventure in Space and Time, this is an outstanding docudrama. It's so fun, it's so good, and it's so emotional towards the end. If anyone hasn't seen it, but they are fans of the Hartnell era or the making of the show, they will probably get very teary-eyed in the last 10, just under minutes, especially towards the end. And if that Matt Smith doesn't do it for you, then there'll probably be other elements that would, like the I Don't Want to Go, or Sidney just telling William Hartnell about going, or just the interactions with Troughton, or just any of it, or even the start. But anyway, this is still a beautiful and amazing 50th anniversary docudrama. It was such a lovely present, almost as good as The Day of the Doctor itself. In fact, in some respects, it might be super close. The 50th anniversary had great presents, great content coming out, and this is just one of the best bits of it. Yeah, 50th anniversary was a great time to be a Doctor Who fan, And so, because of this marvellous docudrama, I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. Yeah, nothing more I can say about it. It's just beautiful. If you haven't seen this and you're a fan of the William Hartnell era, or you would like to find out a bit about the making of the show, it isn't completely. The events are slightly fiction. Some of it might be fictionalized. Some of it not completely accurate. It's not historically accurate. Maybe not so much fictionalized. Maybe some bits of it were moved about and just glanced over for timing and stuff and importance. Getting. Being what was more important, but most of it is very much based on real events, and it is just amazing. So yeah, I highly recommend you check it out one way or another. It's available on DVD. It's also available in America. It's available on Blu-ray with an Unearthly Child also included. It's included on the 50th anniversary collector's set, which I've got in one of these boxes down here, on DVD and on Blu-ray. I don't have the Blu-ray, I've got the DVD. Not sure why it's not got its own individual Blu-ray, but well. I'm sure you could probably find it on a streaming service somewhere. It's not on BBC iPlayer anymore. It was, when it came out, but it's not. But I'm sure you could find it. But if you can find it, it is absolutely amazing. It is so good. If you want to just have a taste of it, try and see if you can find some clips on YouTube. Before you have a proper watch. But if you decide, yes, it is for you, go ahead straight away. Immediately, that's an order. It's not a recommendation. Like I said, you should probably watch The Woman Who Fell to Earth after watching Twice Upon a Time, if that's where you want to stop. But you think that's a bad place to stop, I recommend going to Woman Who Fell to Earth to see if that's actually something you may want to carry on with. If you may actually want to carry on with watching it afterwards. And if not, then that's a better place to stop, to be honest. But with this, I think you should check it out. That is a requirement, especially if you're a Hartnell era fan or into the show, or into the make of the show, or if you're just a die-hard fan in general. So that's it from Adventure in Space and Time, and that's it from the First Doctor William Hartnell era, for reals this time. By the way, the acting is superb from everyone. David Bradley's even better here than Twice Upon a Time. That's not a surprise. But yeah, that's the Hartnell era done for reals this time. Next time, we will be officially starting Patrick Troughton's era with The Power of the Daleks. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. Excuse me. Especially because hear me? Anyway, so and what This will be a 25-minute review, is it? Oh!